I'm very glad to be in Philadelphia today with Governor Shapiro, Congressman Boyle, and Congresswoman Scanlon. We're here to make the exciting announcement that Pennsylvania will offer direct file to its residents starting next filing season. The U.S. economy today is strong. Unemployment is near historic lows, and inflation has significantly declined. But many Americans are concerned with the high cost of living. They're struggling to make ends meet. So, bringing down costs for American families is the Biden-Harris administration's top economic priority. And this means doing everything we can to address the costs of health care, housing, and energy, and tackling challenges that have been building for decades. It also means making it simpler and cheaper for Americans to pay their taxes and get back what they're owed. It should be easy to meet your tax obligations and claim the credits, deductions, and refunds for which you're eligible. Instead, the Internal Revenue Service has been underfunded. That means that taxpayers have not gotten the support they deserve. Taxpayers across the country have had to pay for-profit companies hundreds of dollars a year to file their taxes. And too many eligible taxpayers have missed out on tax credits that would give them crucial breathing room in their household budgets. The Inflation Reduction Act has enabled us to change this. In the less than 2 years since it was passed, we've driven significant transformation at the Internal Revenue Service to drastically improve the taxpayer experience. We massively improved customer service, including through modernizing our call centers, dramatically reducing call wait times from 28 minutes to around just 3 minutes, and adding a new callback option that saved taxpayers an estimated 1.4 million hours of waiting on hold. We've also been able to expand operations at taxpayer assistance centers, serving almost 500,000 more taxpayers last year than in the prior year. We redesigned more than 100 notices, made them available online, so it's easy for taxpayers to understand what actions they need to take. And we enhance popular tools such as Where's My Refund, enabling taxpayers to better anticipate their refunds and plan their budgets. We also piloted the program we're focused on today. Direct File allows eligible taxpayers to file their taxes online for free directly with the IRS. It saves taxpayers money up front. They do not have to pay to prepare or file their returns. And it saves them money on the back end by helping them get their refunds and claim the tax credits they deserve. It makes the whole process easier and more efficient. I'm proud that the Direct File pilot this past filing season was a significant success. To make sure the pilot went smoothly, we focused on taxpayers in 12 states and with simple returns. Over just 5 weeks, interest grew as we got the word out and taxpayers started using the product. By the final week, Direct File was processing more than 5,000 accepted returns each day. And by the end of the filing season, more than 140,000 taxpayers across all 12 of the pilot states filed through Direct File, far exceeding the 100,000 goal we had set. And these taxpayers saved $5.6 million in federal filing fees and received $90 million in refunds. Taxpayers also liked the product, and they found it easy to use. 90% of survey respondents rated their experience with Direct File as excellent or above average. They appreciated that it saved them time filing, allowed them to quickly fix mistakes, provided customers support, and that there were no fees or upsells. And using Direct File increased public trust in the Internal Revenue Service. This success fueled demand for Direct File from taxpayers across the country. We heard from over 200 organizations representing communities throughout the United States, and we also heard from more than 100 members of Congress. So in June, IRS Commissioner Werfel and I announced we were making Direct File a permanent offering, and we invited all 50 states to participate starting as soon as next filing season. Today, and thanks to Governor Shapiro, Pennsylvania joins the growing list of states that have committed to join Direct File, with plans to bring Direct File to more than 1.5 million Pennsylvania residents starting next January. Taxpayers deserve to see how our tax system should work, and thanks to the IRA, we're finally able to make that happen. I want to also thank Congressman Boyle and Congresswoman Scanlon for their support of the investments we're making in the IRS. And let me congratulate Governor Shapiro on this additional step forward. I look forward to working with state and local leadership across the country to advance the Biden-Harris administration's agenda to lower costs for American families. Thank you.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. And let me begin by saying it is such an honor and a thrill to have Secretary Yellen here in Philadelphia, in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, one of the greatest fiscal minds and finest public servants of our generation. The fact that she has chosen Philadelphia for this important announcement and to highlight the great work at the U.S. Department of Treasury means a great deal to us. And I believe I can speak on behalf of my good friends and two very fine public servants in and of themselves, Congressman Boyle and Congresswoman Scanlon. We are thankful that you are here with us today to highlight this awesome new tool from your department. And I want to say a special thanks to your team for working with us on not just this, but so many other things that have helped repair and rebuild the infrastructure across this Commonwealth and really give people a shot here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I've said this many times, I'll say it again. We believe the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania should be a place where everyone has the freedom to chart their own course and the opportunity to succeed. And thanks to the Biden-Harris administration and the contributions of Secretary Yellen, we are well on our way to ensuring that in rural, urban, and suburban communities across this great Commonwealth. You've also heard me say many times that we live by three letters in our administration, GSD. And out of respect for the fine secretary, I'll simply say that stands for Get Stuff Done. We focus on getting stuff done every day for the good people of Pennsylvania, making sure that government can be a positive force for good in their lives, and making sure that there is no wrong door to entry when you need support and service from your government. We're mindful that in getting support and service from your government, it is on us to make sure we speed up government as well, that we make it work at the speed of business, that we make folks be able to access their government, not just during 9 to 5 hours, but when it works for them, when it works in their family structure, when it works in their daily and busy lives. That is why one of the first executive orders that I signed as governor was to speed up our permitting process. I share that with you because it's directly on point to how we want to make government more accessible to all Pennsylvanians. You know, your lives are touched by some engagement or involvement with state government every day, whether you realize it or not. A small business owner that wants to open up a barber shop, or a large corporation that dots our center city skyline. They both have to apply for a business license in order to operate here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The day I was sworn into office, it took 8 weeks to get that simple business license in the Commonwealth. Thanks to my executive order and my team's hard work, today that same business license takes just 2 days to get here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Permits touch the lives of all Pennsylvanians. We know we have a teacher shortage in our public schools all across this Commonwealth, something we've been working very hard to fix. The day I took office, it took 12 weeks to get a public school educator certified. Today, it is down to just 1 week. I share those two examples with you because they're examples of how we have tried to make government work more quickly and work more effectively and efficiently for the good people of Pennsylvania. Exactly what the Secretary is here to announce today when it comes to taxpayers. We have also put in place a system where if we don't meet the marks that we set for our constituents, if we don't meet the marks we set for our fellow Pennsylvanians, we will give you your money back for your permit, your license, or your application fee. So if we tell you it's going to take a certain amount of time and we don't hit that mark, we'll give you your application fee back, putting our money where our mouth is. And as we do all this work to speed up government, we want to make sure, as I said, there is no wrongdoer and there is ease of access when it comes to all Pennsylvanians being able to do the work that they need to do. That's why we built in-house Code PA, our very own tech startup, to work on making our forms more accessible, to making our products more in line with how everyday Pennsylvanians operate. We actually have a saying at Code PA. Their goal is to make forms that suck less. And I realize that may not be the kindest or gentlest way to talk, but the truth is anyone who's interacted with government before it knows it can be a frustrating process. One of the first products they worked on was allowing people to file their state taxes through our MyPath system in a way that was much easier for people, so they didn't have to use third-party softwares or didn't have to consult an accountant. Nothing against accountants, of course. Well, the work we've done through Code PA and our portal through our Commonwealth now, thankfully, is in a position to complement the incredible work that the Secretary has put forth, thanks to the investments that our Congresspeople, along with Senator Casey and Fetterman, have put in place. And that is to allow people not just to file their taxes simply online for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but for the federal government as well. This is a game changer. This is going to allow people ease of access to their government, showing that there is no wrongdoer, saving them hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on software and other services that maybe they really didn't need in the first place. And it is going to allow them to be far more efficient in their lives. Not just being able to pay their taxes more efficiently, but then reclaim that time so they can have more time with their kids, more time at work, more time just enjoying themselves here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This free online system, I am here to tell you, will be in effect for all Pennsylvanians for the next filing season. We are committed to that work. We are ready for that to go online, and we couldn't be more grateful to Secretary Yellen and her team for their willingness to pilot this and now to make it available to all 50 states. And so I just want to close by, again, thanking the Secretary, thanking the Biden-Harris administration for their investments here in the Commonwealth. Thank them for joining us in understanding that there should be no wrong door to entry for people to be able to access services from their government, and understanding the important, powerful role government can play in people's lives to streamline things, to make things easier, to make things quicker, and to make things more efficient. That's the way we do our work every day here in the Commonwealth. That's the way the Biden administration, the Harris administration has operated, and certainly the way the Secretary has. And I'm grateful, Madam Secretary, for you being here today and for your leadership. Thank you all very, very much.
Well, to echo what the governor said, Madam Secretary, welcome. I am honored that you are here in my congressional district, literally just 2 blocks above one of my, up the street from one of my constituent service offices, to make this incredibly exciting announcement. I also want to thank our governor for participating and taking the lead to make sure all Pennsylvanians will be able to take full advantage of this new direct file program. As my colleague, Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, knows full well, when we fought so hard for the Inflation Reduction Act 2 years ago, tucked into that truly monumental, transformative piece of legislation was IRS direct file. A number of us from the Ways and Means Committee, on which I serve, had pushed for years and years to give the IRS more resources. Secretary Yellen cited the 28-minute average wait time just a few years ago. I can tell you, from our constituent service office just a couple blocks away, for years and years, the #1 constituent complaint was about the IRS. So the improvements that have been made through the Inflation Reduction Act and that you both are carrying out at the federal and state level, respectively, truly transformative in the lives of ordinary Philadelphians and ordinary Pennsylvanians, and indeed, of course, ordinary Americans. I also cite the fact that, unfortunately, there are those where Mary Gay and I work who are attempting to take away these resources from the IRS. When we talk about the additional resources that we devoted to the IRS, it's to do things like this. It's to put the service back in Internal Revenue Service. Well, if those efforts succeed, and in the future, perhaps near future, money is stripped away from the IRS, it's things like direct file that are a threat. Now, I can tell you, in addition to my service on the Ways and Means Committee, I'm the ranking member, I hope soon chairman, of the Budget Committee. One of the top priorities for our committee, if I am to be chair and we are to be in the majority, will be protecting programs like direct file, making sure that all 50 states and all 333 million Americans are able to fully participate. Because Josh said it exactly right. It's, in the end of the day, what we're about is attempting to make government more accessible and more reachable for everyday Americans. So I'm honored again that you've chosen Philadelphia. I hope you and your large staff spend a lot of money while you're here. I have some restaurant recommendations, depending on how long you're staying. And with that, let me introduce my colleague, a very good friend of mine, Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon.
Thank you, everyone. It is so great to be here with Secretary Yellen and Governor Shapiro to announce that Pennsylvanians will have access to the IRS's free direct file tax filing tool this coming tax season. Filing your taxes should be quick, easy, and free. It is in most other countries. There's no reason to pay hundreds of dollars for a tax preparation company to file a simple return. So when you go to file your taxes next year, you're going to be able to use the IRS's direct filing tool. It'll give a free, simplified form to file taxes and speed up any refunds or credits that our taxpayers are owed. Direct file can take the headaches and the cost out of filing taxes. In states where this program has been piloted this past year, it was wildly successful, with 90% of the people who used it rating their experience as excellent or above average. That's 140,000 taxpayers who've already had the opportunity to use that direct file system, claiming over $90 million in refunds and saving about $5.6 million in filing fees. And all of this is possible because of the legislation that Congress passed and the Biden-Harris administration put into effect, giving the IRS the funding and the authorities to provide taxpayers with direct file. It was a provision in the Inflation Reduction Act. It included a big funding boost so the IRS could do a couple things. One was to improve customer service, reducing delays in returning refunds, and also to make sure that millionaires and billionaires who have avoided paying taxes would pay their fair share. So two big things going on here with Secretary Yellen's help: making sure millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share, and making sure that everyday Americans, everyday Pennsylvanians can file their taxes quickly and easily and get their refunds quickly and easily. So I was proud to vote for the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm happy to see Pennsylvania benefiting from this legislation. Very grateful to Governor Shapiro for making sure that the Pennsylvania tax system is going to be part of it, and we look forward to seeing the rollout. Thank you.
We'd be glad to take some questions.
First question is Lauren Make from NBC.
I'm right here. Madam Secretary.
Behind the...
Behind the, yes.
Thank you so much. Welcome to Philadelphia. Madam Secretary, there are elements of the tax bill that was passed during the Trump administration that are set to expire. What are you preparing for at the Treasury Department, and what should Americans, taxpayers, be prepared for?
Well, President Biden has set out a set of principles that will guide his or his successors' negotiations over the expiring provisions, which are mainly in the individual tax code. And one principle is he wants to make sure that every household making less than $400,000 will not see an increase in their tax bills. He wants to protect hardworking Americans and would like to see the child tax credit enhanced. But he feels very strongly in tax fairness and that wealthy individuals should pay their fair share. And he would not be willing to see extended the provisions that benefit those very high-income households. In addition to that, he's proposed changes on the corporate side to raise the corporate income tax somewhat, not back to its pre-TCJA level, but to make it somewhat higher, to close international tax loopholes, and to put in place other reforms that would ensure that corporations and wealthy individuals pay their fair share.
Alan Rappaport, New York Times.
Thanks very much. One on the Pennsylvania economy for both Governor Shapiro and Secretary Yellen. Related to U.S. Steel, President Biden said earlier this year that he wants U.S. Steel to remain American-owned and operated. Do you agree with that? And would you like to see the Biden administration or a future Harris administration block the Nippon Steel acquisition? And for Secretary Yellen, where does that review stand?
Well, let me say for my part, since I chair the CFIUS process that in principle would review such a transaction, I regret I'm not able to get into the specifics of any transaction. We will look at it from a national security, as we would look at any transaction from a national security perspective and try to make a reasoned judgment, but I'm not able to talk about the specifics.
I'm incredibly proud of the role that the Commonwealth has played in strengthening our society, bringing democracy around the world, and fueling growth and really the construction of the modern-day American labor movement thanks to our strong manufacturing base here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. One of the key components of that strong manufacturing base, of course, is steel. And so much of that work has been done by U.S. Steel over so many generations. I have made very, very clear that the success of U.S. Steel is due to the incredible women and men of the U.S. Steel Workers Union who have done this backbreaking work over many generations, oftentimes same families through multiple generations doing that work. And so I review any potential deal through the prism of how does it impact Pennsylvania workers, number one, and what does it mean for the future of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to be able to continue its primary post as a manufacturing leader here in this country. And on both of those questions, I have serious concerns about the deal that has been put forth. I don't want any of my comments to in any way be seen as undermining the important process that is now going on at the federal level. But speaking from a state perspective as governor, if the U.S. steelworkers aren't happy with this deal, which they are not, I'm not happy with this deal. If I don't see a future where U.S. steel manufacturing continues here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and is expanded from what is happening right now, I'm not happy. So I've got really serious concerns. Obviously, the federal government will make the ultimate decision here, but what's been put forth on the table is not something that would enjoy my approval, and I'm going to continue to stand directly side by side and locked arms with U.S. steelworkers, the very people who have built this Commonwealth and this country. They deserve real respect, and what is contained in this deal at this point is not respectful to them and to their members.
Aaliyah Scheider, Philly Inquirer.
Could you talk about the eligibility for Pennsylvanians to use direct file?
All Pennsylvanians will be eligible. It will be ready and online for the next tax filing season. We have members of the Department of Revenue staff who are here who can walk you through the specifics of how to access it online, but we're ready to rock and roll. Thanks to the work of Code PA, the collaboration with the Department of Treasury, we're ready to go, and the Commonwealth will be better off thanks to Secretary Yellen's vision in this space.
Rich Rubin, Wall Street Journal.
For the governor, the one piece of that expiring tax law next year is the $10,000 cap on state and local tax deductions. What's been the impact of that cap here in Pennsylvania, and what should Congress do with it when it's set to expire?
Well, the members of Congress can speak to what they plan to do on it, and obviously the president has been very vocal on these issues. I can tell you that we fight to make sure we reduce costs, especially for middle-class families here in the Commonwealth. As governor, I've cut taxes multiple times. We delivered the largest targeted tax cut for seniors in nearly 20 years. We delivered the largest child care tax cut for families with children in child care ever in the history of our Commonwealth. We've cut business taxes twice in Pennsylvania, and I've sought to cut other taxes which we haven't been able to get through. Shockingly, I'm the only governor in the entire country with a divided legislature. Shockingly, I'm for more tax cuts than some of the Republicans who lead the Senate. You can go ask them why. But I want to see us put more money back in the pockets of Pennsylvanians. We've successfully done that here at the state level. Obviously, members of Congress will have a lot to grapple with when they come back into session next year under what I hope will be Democratic majorities in the House and a Harris administration working to put more money back in the pockets of all Pennsylvanians, particularly middle-class Pennsylvanians.
Dave Lauder, Reuters.
Thank you. I have a question, tax question for both the Secretary and for the Governor. Secretary Yellen, would you anticipate in the very detailed tax plan that President Biden has proposed in his budgets, would you anticipate that there would be any changes likely taken on by Vice President Harris should she be elected in that plan? And then for Governor Shapiro, you've cut business taxes considerably in this state. Can you square that with the plan that the president has laid out, which would considerably raise corporate taxes? Is that kind of at cross purposes? Thank you.
So on the first part, I would just say that Vice President Harris has indicated her support for avoiding tax increases for middle-income families. So I believe that's a principle that she would adhere to. And beyond that, while she's played an important role in determining our economic policy and general approach to tax fairness over the last 3.5 years, I wouldn't want to speak about details with respect to how she might approach the upcoming negotiation.
I think those who know me know I am competitive as hell, and I want Pennsylvania to win every single time. And for us to win when it comes to economic development, when it comes to job creation, I knew when I got sworn in as governor about 1.5 years ago that we needed to do much better. I spoke about one aspect of doing better earlier in my remarks, and that is speeding up business, getting permits and licenses done more quickly. And I just signed into law even further advancing our efforts on permitting reform to speed up that process. I knew we needed an economic development strategy that focused on some of the core sectors of our economy where I saw opportunities for significant growth. I knew that we needed to put real resources into economic development, and one example of that is a new fund I was able to get done on a bipartisan basis to put $500 million into site development all across Pennsylvania. Understand that we have made these investments at a time where, as I said before, I'm the only governor in the whole country with a divided legislature. We've been able to bring Democrats and Republicans together to get meaningful things done when it comes to economic development. We also understood that we needed to have a more advantageous tax environment for our businesses. And it was one component of an overall strategy in order to grow jobs and create more economic opportunity in Pennsylvania. That's why I've been so aggressively working to cut business taxes and make sure that we have an environment here that works for business owners, where they not only want to expand operations if they're already here, but where I can entice businesses from other states to come and locate here in Pennsylvania. And I think having that multi-pronged strategy, which does include tax cuts for businesses, has helped us become far more competitive than we were a year and a half ago. The proof is in the pudding in terms of the more than $2 billion in private capital that we've seen invested as a result of our direct engagement, and the jobs that we've been able to create on my watch with new businesses coming here. So it all fits together. Tax cuts, speeding up businesses, having a strategy, and having real resources to invest in the effort to create jobs and economic opportunity.
And last question, Victoria Dendrino from Bloomberg.
Thank you. Just beyond tax policy, I had a question on economic policy for both of you. Secretary Yellen, for the past 3.5 years, you've worked in the Biden-Harris administration. I was just wondering, based on that experience, what you would expect the economic priorities of a Harris administration to look like, and in terms of what you think, whether there's any unfinished business or some kind of area where you would like to see progress kind of from the get-go. And Governor Shapiro, if I could ask for your view more broadly on the Biden-Harris economic record, and if you think Vice President Harris should fully embrace Bidenomics, or if there's any shift you think is warranted in any area. Thank you.
Well, what I can say is that I've worked closely on a number of different policy initiatives with Vice President Harris over the last 3.5 years. We've worked to increase the flow of resources, of lending possibilities in low-income neighborhoods, on bolstering small businesses and their opportunities. I know that she's focused on middle-income families and making sure that they thrive. She's been supportive of things like paid leave that were elements of the Biden-Harris administration program at the outset that haven't been passed into law, the child tax credit, trying to make sure that child care is more affordable. But I wouldn't want to try to specify more than that about what her priorities will be. But these are certainly things she's focused on and been committed to over the last 3.5 years.
The Biden-Harris policies and work has had a profoundly positive impact on the economy of Pennsylvania and the people of Pennsylvania. And I want to share some specifics, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank Congressman Boyle and Congresswoman Scanlon, because none of those investments would be possible but for their affirmative votes and hard work behind the scenes to not only get those bills passed, but to make sure that Pennsylvania gets more than its fair share in the process. Let's examine the record. We've got 276,000 homes and businesses without high-speed internet in Pennsylvania. Some in urban areas like this, but primarily in rural communities across Pennsylvania. Thanks to the Biden-Harris administration, we will now, over the course of the next 5 years, connect every one of those 276,000 homes and businesses to high-speed internet. That means greater access to learning for kids, greater opportunities for small business startups, greater access to health care, especially in rural communities where it's hard to access specialists for particular care. That's a game changer. There's a small town in western Pennsylvania called Esplin. It's out in Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh is. It's a predominantly minority community, a small borough. And for years, when moms would turn on the tap and give their kid a glass of water, There was lead in those drinking water lines that they had to deal with, that they either had to serve to their kids or they had to have special filtration systems in order to be able to make sure it was safe. Thanks to the Biden-Harris administration, those water lines are literally being ripped up out of the ground and replaced with water lines where moms and dads don't have to worry about their kids' health and safety anymore. We've got serious infrastructure projects that are going to help improve lives all across Pennsylvania. From the capping project in Chinatown, which I believe is in your district, Congressman, to, I was staying with Secretary Buttigieg just last week, the I-83 South Bridge in Harrisburg, where 200,000 cars and trucks go over every single day. Not to mention, one of the most serious infrastructure disasters in our nation's history, when I-95 collapsed just about a year ago, it was the Biden-Harris administration who were my partners in that effort to get that road reopened in just 12 days. The investments in these infrastructure projects are having a positive impact on people's lives every single day, whether it's reducing commute times, whether it's helping businesses be able to get their product to and from market more quickly, whether it's people being able to live a healthier, safer life. This is really impactful. And this is stuff that's happening right now. Now think about the future, thanks to a Biden-Harris administration, what it means for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Our Commonwealth is home to 2 regional hydrogen hubs. We are the only state in the entire nation to have earned 2 regional hydrogen hubs from the Biden-Harris administration, thanks to Secretary Granholm and others. We are poised to be the clean energy capital, not just of the United States, but of the world, and put a whole lot of people to work, from our universities to our great building trades. People are going to be working in this space to create an even better clean energy economy. I've said this to the president privately, and I'm not one to get into our private conversations. I don't think the president would mind me sharing this with him or with all of you. He has been in public service for over 50 years, including a whole lot of years where he served as our 3rd U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania. I bet you didn't know we had 3 senators for a while here. The impact of his service is going to be felt a lot longer than the 50 years that he served. When you think about people's kids and grandkids today who are going to be working on these projects that President Biden and Vice President Harris put in place, that is going to strengthen our economy for generations to come. It's going to help put food on the table for middle-class families for generations to come. And it's going to make Pennsylvania and this country far more competitive for generations to come, thanks to President Biden's service. We're indebted to he and Vice President Harris for the investments that they've made here. They matter. They make a difference. And we're going to continue to do everything in our power to take the support of the federal government, as we are doing here today on this particular tax filing issue and so much more, and utilize that to benefit the good people of this Commonwealth and this country. Thank you all very, very much.
Well done. Thank you again, Madam Secretary. Thank you.